Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. Today's February 7th. I already covered today's safe and legal death, and I'll link to that below. It was one of these wonderful, hyographic National Abortion Federation members, Leroy Carhart. Oh, he's willing to do post-viability abortions. That makes him a hero, right? Well, Jennifer was pregnant with a wanted baby, got an unfavorable fetal diagnosis, and instead of referring her for perinatal hospice so she could treasure every moment of her baby's life, he did an abortion. And again, these late abortions are not done in hospitals. Life of the mother, health of the mother. No, she's not in a hospital. She's in a hotel room going back and forth to the clinic over the course of several days. And during one of those nights that Jennifer was with her family at the hotel, she started suffering complications, called the phone number that Carhart had provided, and it rang to the answering machine of his wife's equestrian supply business. Not to put too fine a point on it, Jennifer was not a horse. She needed emergency medical care. She did not need tack and saddle. But that's just me. I'm an anti-choice weirdo. I honestly think that you should provide these women with emergency medical care and not offer to sell them supplies for their horses. But again, I'm an anti-choice weirdo. So at any rate, I'll link to Jennifer's story below. But now we're going to go back to 1929 to a young woman named Serene Mary Baker. She was 17 years old and lived in Venice, Illinois. She died at the home of Mary Adamson in Belleville, Illinois, on February 7th of 1929. According to death records, she was an Illinois native who worked as a grocery clerk. Rolla Carmack, age 20, of East St. Louis, told police that he was the baby's father and he had paid Adamson $25 to do the abortion. His older brother, whose name is sometimes given as Edward and sometimes as Irving, told the police chief that the two of them had taken Serene to the Adamson home for the abortion on February 2nd. Other sources say February 1st. So this, and how confusing does it get? Sometimes Adamson is referred to as the alleged midwife, sometimes as a midwife, and she is listed in directories as a midwife. So she was a midwife. And remember, supposedly safe and legal abortions can be performed just fine by paraprofessionals, nurses, nurses' aides, midwives, PAs. Don't have to be a doctor, perfectly safe. So can't get your knickers in a twist because this is a midwife instead of a doctor. And again, to get to how screwy the sources are, the ages given for this woman range from 80 to 87 years of age, but at any rate, she was elderly. Adamson denied having perpetrated the abortion and refused to say anything more. Now, she was indicted by the grand jury in April of 1929, and the trial was set for May 2nd, but both parties agreed to a postponement because Mrs. Adamson was extremely ill. She was hospitalized, and she was left under the supervision of her brother, who was a retired policeman, to keep an eye on her while she was hospitalized. Rolla Carmack was also charged with murder, but the charges were later dropped, likely in exchange for willingness to turn state's evidence against Adamson. And his brother was also charged. But once the defense was ready to proceed, the boys were nowhere to be found. They'd moved to Detroit and then vanished off the prosecution's radar. I haven't been able to find out what happened with the case moving forward. It just kind of, the paper trail ends there.